it is wide. It's what keeps us together, and it's the reason we divide. Some days it's strong, some days it's weak. Some days it's narrow and a little out of reach. Some choose to build it up, some choose to tear it down, leave it to ruin, say this world's come to unwound. There's a high road that stands above what we have lost, 'cause all bridges are meant for us to cross. There's a bridge, and it is long. Every passing conversation is a choice of right or wrong. It's who we are, not what we've done. It stands tall above the rivers that flow to who we love. Some go the distance, some choose to stay behind. It's the changing of your heart that will open up your mind. There's a high road that stands above what we have lost, and all bridges are meant for us to cross. The longer that we wait, the harder it'll be tomorrow. There's no guarantee how much time we have to borrow. There's a bridge from you to me. If we don't work to hold it steady, it'll break beneath our feet. There's a high road that stands above what we have lost, 'cause all bridges are meant for us to cross. All bridges are meant for us to cross.
Our little theater here at the Harbor History Museum, and we have about 6 different options of films for people to watch, one of which is actually the lost footage. And people get really excited about that particular little film because it is the only footage of the collapse of the Narrows Bridge taken from the west side, or the Gig Harbor side of the Narrows Bridge. So it's a unique view, but there's also some additional footage that was taken the second day after the bridge had collapsed and right when they began to dismantle the bridge. So it was filmed by a guy named Arthur Leach, who was a toll collector on the bridge, and he got a unique view because he was actually an employee. So you get a really unusual view of the collapsed bridge as well as the actual collapse of the bridge. The other thing I want to mention is that we just discovered deep in our archives the original and only color film footage of the collapse of the bridge, and we have that specially running here in our galleries for our visitors to take a look at. So if you get a chance, definitely come down and see if you can see that footage. A lot of people ask us about the collapse of the Narrows Bridge, and in fact, we've kind of become the Bridge Museum in a way, because we have these giant pieces of metal that are warped and contorted and are said to have been from the original bridge. And that bridge was made out of basically metal and concrete. It opened in 1940 on July 1st and then collapsed on November 7th. The same year, 1940. So it really didn't stand for very long. You know, even my mom remembered going over the bridge and it would undulate like this and the car in front of them would disappear. So you might imagine how this metal, just that constant movement begins to make this metal almost turn into taffy. And on that fateful day, on November 7th, it twisted and torqued until the bridge just couldn't take it anymore and everything collapsed. The whole center span collapsed into the water, and these metal pieces were dumped onto the shore and ultimately salvaged when they were building the third Narrows Bridge, the one we know of today, that was opened in 2007. So they had to move some of the pieces of that first bridge in order to build the third bridge, and that's how these came to the Harbor History Museum. Here we are in the Midway Schoolhouse. This is one of the last remaining one-room schoolhouses out of about 15 different schoolhouses that were in the Gig Harbor Peninsula area. Midway was actually located in a neighborhood called Midway, over by where the current Goodman Middle School is. And of course the name Goodman is important because some of our first teachers in Gig Harbor were the Goodman sisters. There was Anna Goodman, who was our very first teacher, in a schoolhouse not quite like this, but very much, very close to this site. It was actually held, the very first school was actually held in a Native American building that was on the site where the museum is today. And Anna Goodman was the first school teacher. Now her younger sister, Lucy, took over teaching for many, many years and taught both in one-room schoolhouses and then also in the Crescent Valley School, which is about a mile or so from here. But here's in this classroom, what you would see is that everybody's in here together. All the grades, all together. Teachers here in the schoolhouse had to be able to work with kids of a whole bunch of different ages. And sometimes the older kids would help the younger kids, and different kids that had different skills would help other kids. So it was kind of a nice sort of family environment, but it was also very, very strict and very rigid. There were certain things that the students had to do, like learn the Pledge of Allegiance and the Psalm America. They had to know who their presidents were, and they also had to practice their sums, or addition and subtraction. We have on this wall over here the 5-finger lesson, which is all about qualities of our personalities. So the 5-finger lesson is valuable throughout the school day and at home, and we have kindness, cleanliness, punctuality, honesty, and friendliness. So those are all the really kind of key things that we teach in the schoolhouse. But we also have a really wonderful program called the Pioneer School Experience, where students can come here and actually go to class in the school with a living history school norm. So it's a wonderful experience for 3rd to 5th graders in this local area. So this is one of the interesting objects or artifacts that are in the schoolhouse. Back in the day, this would have been a novelty because you would get a large record that had music recorded on it. It would go on the turntable, and then they would drop the needle down to turn the record and play the music. It's not all intact at this time, but it is an idea quite different from the music we have today. Nobody had iPhones or iPads or any music playing devices other than something like this. And there usually would be a large speaker that would attach into here so that the sound from the needle would come up and out of this and into the room. And it might be that people would sing along, and it might be that they just might do a music appreciation and listen to an orchestra for the first time. But recording in that time period was really different than it is today. Everything was analog, nothing was digital, and it actually was, amazingly enough, music was held in the groove of a record.
Stephanie, this is the oldest record player I've ever seen. Is the record player made in the USA?
As a matter of fact, it was. It was made in Camden, New Jersey. We think about 1925 or so. And of course, it doesn't even have the record. This is just the turntable. So typically you would have a LP or a large vinyl record that would sit on top of here and spin around. This is something that would have been used in the schoolroom. This handle, you would have cranked that handle to tighten up a spring that would then release and allow the turntable to turn. So it didn't require any electricity at all.
So I was just curious, do you know if the kids had to sing, or was this just something that they listened to for their enjoyment during a certain time of day?
It's probably like today, with some teachers that want kids to sing along, some teachers just want to listen to music. Some teachers actually had their own instruments that they brought to class. Guitars or auto harps were a popular item that teachers learned to play so that they could do music class for their students. And all the students could actually sing along and be participants in music, which was a really great aspect of that element of the school day.
It's wonderful. It was a great way to introduce music to the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember my second grade teacher had an auto harp, and she brought it to class, and we learned to sing all kinds of songs with that. So some teachers have pianos. Sometimes you have the Victrola or the Victor Talking Machine Company, which is amazing. Or you might have another form of music making device, whether it's a banjo or a guitar or a piano. So any number of things could be in one of these one-room schoolhouses, and a lot of it was determined by the teacher and what she wanted to actually bestow upon her students. So imagine that you're the oldest kid in the classroom, and your job is to get to school a little bit early so that you can gather the wood and start up the stove, because this is the only heat you have in the entire schoolhouse. It was a lot colder back then. In fact, back in the early days of Gig Harbor, from about 1900 to 1950, it wasn't unusual for the harbor to actually almost freeze over. So imagine it's really, really cold. You've got to get here, you gather up the wood, you put it in the stove, and you get this stoking so that it can actually circulate around the room, so that when all the other kids get here, they're not like sitting here shivering in their seats. They're actually warmed up and ready to learn. This was a stove. This is the original stove from the Midway Schoolhouse. Put in here when it was built in 1893, and it is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, of all places. Of course, it gets pretty darn cold there too, so you might imagine they know how to make some stoves. But yeah, this is the original stove that was here in the school that used to heat the entire place. These days we have central heating, so yeah. So a lot of people don't realize it, but they had to bring their own water into class. And little kids had a tin cup, much like this. They'd get water out of the water cooler, and then they'd have their sip of water. Big cups, little cups, and of course every child had to bring their lunch to school in a bucket kind of like this. And it wouldn't be like, you know, go yogurt and stuff like that. It's like your apple. It would be maybe a piece of cheese, a piece of bread, and on a really lucky day, a pickle. So there you go. That's lunch in a pioneer schoolhouse. Most of them had lids like this so that they could be contained. And then as they walk to school, they can walk and it's got the little lid on it.
You know, I think when we used to watch House on the Prairie, I don't even think they had little buckets like that. Is that what today?
Some of them had buckets, some of them had baskets, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, lunchboxes have come a long way.
Yes, they have, yeah.
Hello, my name is Jose Lopez, and this is part of my family, brothers and sisters. We are a family of 10, 6 boys and 4 girls. We came to the United States of America back in 1997, excuse me, and we started this restaurant in 2001. My mom and my dad got together. They put some recipes together with the help of my sisters and family-owned restaurant. We decided that we could put something together as a group. We love each other and we have a lot of passion for cooking. We decided to open up this restaurant in Gig Harbor, Washington. My mom and dad, cooking all their lives and having the touch and the passion for food, they decided to put the menu together, and we have this restaurant at Pueblito. We also have another location in Port Orchard, Washington, and both restaurants are managed and owned by Family Lopez. It's 10 of us, and so we came here and we love the food, we love the people. We're blessed to have the community supporting our business. Basically, Gig Harbor adopted us since day one. We appreciate the community. We appreciate what, helping out with this time in need with the COVID-19. Unfortunately, a lot of the businesses didn't make it, but we are here still thriving, and like I said, we're very grateful to have such a great community, and that they love our food and they love our family. We made throughout the years many friends. We met a lot of great people. We have a little location here, and we hope to be here for many years to come.
Jose, what are the 3 top dishes that you sell here?
I have to say that our most popular dishes in the restaurant are like the carne asada, the skirt steak, flanks of skirt steak with the beans and rice, a little bit of guacamole on the side, and warm tortillas. It's one of the top choices that we have. It's just, the meat is so tender, and the spices that we use gives such good flavor. That is one of our top dishes. Also the enchiladas verdes with the green tomatillo sauce are very popular. Those are top sellers. Popular dishes that people come in and order all the time. And also our tamales, and like the meatball soup is delicious. So if you feel like having some soup, it's very delicious. It's Mama's recipe. It's got a little bit of hint of oregano flavor. It's got some tomatoes, carrots, potatoes. Very delicious. And we also have the chile rellenos. Is the pasilla whole chili pepper, egg butter a little bit, and we do the cotija fresh cheese purple on top of it. That just gives it a nice touch to it.
Well, that sounds really good. Well, I must say, as a regular customer here, the food is always great and the service is wonderful. Do you mind introducing your sisters and brother to me?
Okay, no problem. My sister Agustina is the oldest of all the sisters. My sister Vicky, she is the second oldest of all the sisters. We have the third oldest, which is Catalina, and the youngest of all the girls, Maricela. And this is my little brother Sergio.
Oh, wonderful. I just want to say thank you, and the food is great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not good to do this with the water, but a toast to all y'all for making food and cooking last year. Well,
Hello, my name is Javisa. I've been working at Heritage Distilling Company for 2 years now, and it's such a great company to work for. Our own vodkas, gins, and bourbons. Over here is our Cash Club membership, and it gives you the opportunity to make your own batch of whiskey, gin, or vodka. Of course, it has to be our spirits. But for instance, I had a lady come in here. She put regular corn vodka in her cask, and she wanted to bring a spicy Bloody Mary home for her to enjoy. So she put in jalapenos, ghost pepper, and habaneros in there, let it soak in there for months until it was proper tasting for her to bring some bottles home and to enjoy her vodka and her Bloody Mary at home. So it's a very neat membership. When you first sign up, it's $2.79, and then it's optional if you want to renew it. And it just gives you a chance to make your own batch of vodka, gin, or bourbon. It's a very neat idea, and then you get 20% off on merchant items and then discounts on drinks too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a new concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Do you know if anybody else is doing that?
No. We're the only one that's doing that, and it's actually patent for us to we're the only distillery that's able to do this.
Wow, interesting. Well, good luck with everything, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good.
So these are olive oils and balsamic vinegars infused. The olive oils are imported directly from Spain. The balsamic vinegars come from Modena, Italy. They are produced the Salerno method, which means they are barrel aged rather than being fermented from an alcohol. They add a little mother vinegar to it at the end, gives it that little bite, but they tend to be on the more sweet side naturally from the aging of the grape must. We have a very nice selection of flavors to suit pretty much anybody. You can use those for salad dressings. A lot of people like to use them for bread dipping, but they're actually quite versatile. You can use a lot of the balsamics over ice cream, even some of the olive oils, like the blood orange or the Meyer lemon drizzled over ice cream is amazing. Wonderful on fruit. You can use them with cooking meats. You can use them as glazes on meats, the balsamics that is. The olive oils can be used for grilling, roasting, dipping, really pretty much any kind of cooking that you want. The lovely thing about them, they're already flavored. So literally you can just add your food, cook them, and you're going to have just a lovely meal that comes out of it with very little effort. You can also mix the oils and vinegars together in a dressing, and they are completely 100% shelf stable, so you don't have to refrigerate that. I just want to emphasize that if you add any sort of a fresh element, whether it be a fresh mustard, cheese, or a fresh herb or onion of any kind, you will need to refrigerate it. Use it within 3 to 4 days, because if you leave it out on the counter, it can grow botulism and make you sick. If we come around to the other side here, we have some wonderful spice mixes. So all of the spice mixes are my signature. I make them all here in-house. I can pretty much make anything. We do also do a lot of customizations for people with food allergies, or if there's a specific spice blend you can't buy anymore and you loved it and you'd like to replicate it, you can bring it in. I can do my best to try to recreate it for you. I can also create any blend here of salt-free. I can take out any allergens that might be in them as well. So a lot of different options for cooking. So whether you're a new cook or a middle-of-the-road cook or a chef, we have a blend here that will certainly suit your needs and make your cooking a lot easier and quicker and delicious. So I hope that you will come and visit us and check out our selection.
Ma'am, can they reach you online so certain people?
We absolutely have an online store. We don't have every single product online. We have our olive oils and vinegars and our spice blends online. That is for theloveofspice.com.
Okay, great. Because some people may really enjoy, knowing that they can order spices from you to fit their needs. I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
Now, what would you recommend if you had to sell something in here that we'd like to add to our kitchen? What would you think be helpful for most cooks that maybe that's something we don't have?
I think actually salt cellars are a great addition to a kitchen. So having like a little pinch bowl like this next to your stove, you can actually put your salt and pepper in there together, already pre-mixed if you want, or just salt or just pepper. And when you're cooking, you always seem to have like a dirty hand. And when you need to get salt or grind salt in, you're always trying to struggle to get that done. It's nice just to be able to pinch in and add it. Salt is septic, so it doesn't hold on to bacteria. So having a little salt cellar like this next to your stove, I think, is really helpful. Not something that people generally think about.
So does that come with a lid on it?
It does not.
So you just
there are
cover
other
it?
ones like this one here
Okay.
that has a lid.
Oh.
And it really depends on your desire. I prefer the non-lid because when I'm cooking, I'm moving fast. And
Yeah.
again, if I have to do this, then I have to go clean my other hand
Okay.
to open it. And we
So-
also have other ones that have like a spoon like this.
Oh.
And then
okay.
we have just a nice array of different types of salt cellars also.
So when you're cooking, you grind it up each time, or do you have it ready where it's ready, available, where you can just use it
yeah,
again?
I typically will have, like, for instance, just a nice bag of sea salt like this, the Salt
Okay.
Odyssey, the salt from Greece. It's already got a nice kind of medium grind to it. So this is what I put in my salt cellar at home. And it's a great salt. It's unrefined, so it's got all the natural minerals in it still. So that's what I like to use. And then I just use kind of a fine grind black pepper next to it, and that way I can just add a little bit or however much I want without it overpowering my dish. I have herbal tea here, which is uncaffeinated or caffeine-free teas, and then we have a whole nice array of green teas here. And then we have our black teas here, including our pu'er teas, which are a fermented aged tea, which are quite delicious. So again, lots of flavors to suit everyone's needs, from spicy to fruity to plain. These are for smelling. So on the bottom of the
okay.
jars, it'll tell you what the tea is. It gives people an opportunity to kind of get a sense of what the tea might taste like. And then the tea is sold by the ounce, and it will come in a small little bag. Or we also have tea tins. Right up here we have a 2-ounce tea tin, and then a 4-ounce tea tin, and then we have some specialty tea tins too. If you're giving it maybe as a gift, you might want to present it in something a little nicer.
Okay. Now, your teacups over there that you have, I see that you have, I guess you would call it infuser, that sits on the top of the mug.
These ones have an infuser that come with them. It's a
So-
nice little gift. Looks like this.
So that's not for a fine tea though, right? Because I just
The
noticed
holes are
the
a
holes
little
are
bigger.
bigger. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
most of the black and green teas will do great in this type of a tea. A lot of
Okay.
the herbal teas have a lot of fine bits to them, so they do tend to, I call it tea debris, they tend to leave a lot of tea debris in your cup.
Yes.
And for that, I recommend an infuser like this. So you can see how fine it is. You're not going to wind up with a bunch of tea debris. This one comes with this cup, and we have several different mugs that come with a built-in tea infuser. But we also sell just the infuser itself. And this one's designed to really fit over any size cup and over most teapots as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Now,
and
how
then-
much do those sell for?
These are $13.50 for
Okay.
the infuser, and it also comes with a lid here, which also doubles as a stand.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. You have a wonderful store here. I'm just like so impressed.
Thank you so much.
And what are those up there? The white with the hummingbirds?
This is a water bottle, and it's insulated, so it will keep your items hot and cold.
Well, thank you so much. You've really been a big help.
Absolutely.
You
thank
have a
you.
wonderful store here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Wappler. I am one of 13 artists here at the Ebb Tide Co-op Gallery. This is my art. I am a painter, photographer. I do lino cuts as well. And I've been painting all my life, and it's just a great joy to be among the artists here in the gallery. So this would be an example of the reddish egret. It's a very rare bird that I photographed in Florida. This is a soft pastel of water lilies, and these are some of my photographs. I tend to focus on images that I take here in Gig Harbor, and as you can see, it's a fishing village. It was started by Slovenian fishermen, and I also make tiles of my images, of my photographs and paintings.
You have beautiful work. Really like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bill, your tile work is so beautiful. The boats, it just looks so colorful, and you said that is metal. No, that's tile.
These are tiles. So
Yeah.
my photographs are printed on aluminum, and I also am able to reproduce the images on tiles of different sizes.
Gorgeous, really, really nice work. Now, what do your tiles sell for?
These 8 by 10 and 8 by 12 tiles sell for $50. My wife and I, Ingrid, we also have a native plant nursery, and I'm in the process of photographing all of our beautiful native plants, printing these images on tiles. So here's an example of a western dogwood, and this is an example of bleeding hearts. So it makes a nice gift to give during the holiday season, but at any time. But the plants of native plants are just so beautiful.
Are those tiles coasters?
Yes.
They are. Okay, great. They're very beautiful. Very nice.
This is Kathy Johnson. Kathy Johnson loves the water. Any image that she sees that's near the water is something she just has to paint. She has a passion for things that are common, like these old boats and things that you'll see along the shore. But she just searches out every shore that she can on freshwater and salt water. And here's an example of a lighthouse, and you can see her love of water just comes through everything that she does.
She does beautiful work. That is really amazing. Very nice.
He's a photographer. His name is Todd Moses. This top picture is a large acrylic. The photograph is of Cape Disappointment in Washington. Todd also prints his images on aluminum as well. A beautiful photograph of Mount St. Helens, and you can see the Indian paintbrush in the foreground. This is Mount Rainier, and you can look at all the other beautiful photographs that Todd has in the gallery. These are watercolors by another one of our artists, and this is Ann Hurst. Ann did a lot of her watercolors in Hawaii, and so you can see this turtle. She really captures a very expressive art of the turtle, and then you can look at some of the other images that she has. She's a very talented artist and does beautiful watercolors. Another one of our artists is Kathy Thurston. Kathy has a very unique style. She uses Chinese ink and watercolor on rice paper. Now here are some of the orcas that you see, and we see sometimes here even in the Gig Harbor area, but they're very dominant in the Puget Sound. Here's a nice beautiful image of hummingbirds. She also is able to reproduce her images on beautiful tiles. Here are some puffins, and she also can reproduce any of her images on these various tiles.
The 1949 Willie's Wagon Ranch rig has been in the family since 1951. The Jeep was given to him from his father for a shot of whiskey, and his dad asked him not to sell it. Russell has nurtured it ever since and won 2 awards.